Okay, hello. So my name is Tiffany Gerwick, and I am located at University of Alaska Fairbanks campus. So looking at the weather patterns, as far as the maps, I noticed there was mainly high pressures. Excuse me for that typo. High pressures. And noticed there was lots of coastal movement and not much pressure things that really greatly affected Fairbanks. As far as the low pressures were generally far away. Towards the end of the week, there was some high pressures, but not too many low pressures close to Fairbanks. Okay, so here's map 1. You can see some low pressures. This low pressure is relatively close to Fairbanks, but we noticed there's so much you can look at. Looking at this low pressure here, we can kind of track that around. See, it's 964 now. Then the low pressure up here moved. There's a couple low pressures here, but this one here got a little bit higher, like 5 degrees higher. Not too much, and you can see there's lots of isotherms all around the Fairbanks area, and it's cloudy, but there's not a high pressure system really close to Fairbanks. And here, there's low pressure over here, and low pressure over here, low pressure over here, low pressure over here. This one's pretty much the same though, and it's the same degrees. You can see fog and snow around a lot of the coast. See, the whole coast is basically covered in things. And here's Friday's weather. There's a low system up here, some snow in the area, low system in there. You'll see that's probably that same low system it moved up a ways, and it moved to a lot higher of a pressure. It just jumped like 12 degrees in pressure. There's low pressures there. You see whole southeast is pretty covered in things, with some rain showers and stuff. There's still that low in Canada. And then here on Saturday, now the high pressures moved in. This is the closest pressure system to the Fairbanks area. You can see there's less clouds, and you can see this included front along the whole west coast, essentially of Alaska, and some snow right in there. And this low pressure has gone way back down in pressure. And there's lots of snow generally in this area. And so then here's Sunday. You can see the occluded front is still generally in that area. Snow around there. The high is still in that area. There's a low down southeast, but looking primarily over here, we'll flip back one. Yeah, you can see the degrees of pressure are the same. So yeah, as far as temperature of Sandpoint, you can see it's relatively warm, 30 to 35 essentially, and pretty consistent there. Like it dropped off a little, but not too much. You can see it was significantly warmer though, the actual temperature, compared to the forecasted temperature there for a while. And then in Bethel, again, you can see the temperatures were pretty warm for January, 40s, you know. But then down here is the forecast. So the temperatures really were around 25. And for Nome, it was pretty spot on. See, the temperatures were ranging around 25 degrees. Predicted, and they were really 25 to 30, depending on the place. And Fairbanks, here in Interior, the only continental location that we were looking at, you can see the temperatures were relatively close, you know. The temperatures got up to 25, and the highest they predicted was around 15, but so that's considered a fail, but not by tons and tons. So as far as forecasting, this month climatology was in particular way off due to the out of the ordinary high temperatures. This whole winter was a little strange. So I believe if this winter would have been a little bit more normal, climatology could have been a little bit more accurate, but it was definitely not so accurate for this month. Persistence worked for all the places in Sandpoint and only one of the places in Fairbanks. I would say that's mostly due to the continental location of Fairbanks, so the temperatures can swing a lot more. And but with the coastal locations, the water keeps the temperatures from swinging as drastically as quickly. But as far as the National Weather Service forecast, they were pretty good. Sandpoint was all correct again. Bethel and Nome just had one fail, but Fairbanks had two fails. Sorry for that typo again. It was two fails. High pressures create stable air so that once a high pressure comes, it will stay for a while. So that would help explain how the high pressures in Fairbanks made the weather get a little bit more stable. Yeah, that's a very interesting fact to know that will be very helpful with learning from this class. And so here is that map of Sunday. Climatology was way off for Sunday. You can see this, here we go, this occluded front. You can also see that there's lots of clouds. Climatology forecast predicts the temperature of the west region to be 25 degrees lower than they were. 25 degrees lower than they were. So that's a decent amount different. And as we've learned throughout the course, there is so many factors. So many factors. You can understand so much of it, but there is so many factors. And my Novick view does not have a very strong answer to why that 25-degree difference is. But you can see there's the occluded front that is blowing this way, blowing towards the east, northeast. So that would be pushing with it all this cloud. You would see the cloud. We know that cloud affects temperature. We know that cloud can act as an insulator, which affects temperature different ways depending on how cold things are and how warm things are. But I believe the main cause would be that occluded front making up the clouds. And being as the prediction was lower than it was, it seems that the clouds were acting as an insulator, which was in fact warming it. So it doesn't seem like it was a very sunny day, so the clouds weren't keeping it from getting warmer, but they were rather keeping it from getting colder. Would be Novick explanation of this question. Oh, and yes, for the last one here, you can see the occluded front that I pointed out. And it's asking what would happen if the front had been located more towards the east. So more this way. Well, it would obviously affect things differently because fronts affect weather. Fronts affect weather in several different ways. But an obvious one, I believe, would be that the cloud strip that you can see here, would have shifted. And everything would have kind of shifted a bit, I believe, is the gist of what would happen. Which could potentially, from my understanding, make like that area there maybe less snowy and this area here snowier, because precipitation tends to come often with fronts. So yeah, thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed this screencast.